Michael plays the Monica card, and Tracy reluctantly caves. Let us start with Tracy and the Quartermaine kitchen, because this conversation is a masterclass in how this specific show uses family history as an emotional weapon, and Michael wielding it against Tracy with the precision he did is one of the most effective moves he has made all summer. Tracy found out about the moving truck at the gate and confronted Michael immediately. The news that Willow and the children are moving into the gatehouse landed on Tracy with the full force of a woman who considers herself the arbiter of who belongs in the Quartermaine world. She hates the idea. She said so plainly and without qualification. Willow hates it too, which Michael acknowledged with a specific dry acknowledgement of someone who knows that two people being equally unhappy with an arrangement does not make the arrangement wrong. Michael explained his reasoning clearly. He has something on Willow. He does not trust her. But if she is within his sight, if she is living on the property where he can keep track of her movements and her choices and the way she interacts with the children, she cannot do the things she would do if she had free rein in a separate location with no supervision. The gatehouse is not a comfort for anyone. It is a leash. Michael is putting Willow on a leash that she agreed to because the alternative was losing everything. Tracy's counterargument was not without merit. She pointed out that there are other family members to consider. What is bringing Willow onto the property? Due to Brooklyn. Brooklyn and Willow have been in active conflict all summer. Brooklyn made a vow, cold, absolute, that Willow would not get her claws into Chase over her dead body. Having Willow literally living on the same property, in proximity to the people Brooklyn loves and protects, is a problem that Tracy is right to identify. But then Michael said the thing that stopped Tracy completely. He asked, quietly and without drama, whether that was what his grandmother would do. Monica. The heart of the Quartermaine family in the specific and irreplaceable way that people who have held a family together across decades become its heart. Monica, whose presence in that kitchen was suddenly as real as if she had walked through the door. The question was not an accusation. It was a genuine inquiry. Would the woman who defined what this family could be at its best make the choice that prioritizes revenge and exclusion over the well-being of children who are also Quartermaines? Tracy called it unfair, invoking Monica that way. Michael said he cannot save his family without her help. And Tracy relented. She let that woman move in. Not warmly, not without complaint, not without making absolutely clear that she is doing this under protest and that she holds the right to revisit this decision if it goes badly. But she let it happen. Because at her core, underneath all of the sharp edges and territorial instincts and fiercely protective loyalty to the family name, Tracy Quartermaine knows what Monica would have done. And she is not going to be the person who makes a decision that Monica would have found small. Brooklyn is going to have feelings about this. Loud ones. The preview material for tomorrow confirms she is already telling Tracy to inform Michael that this is not happening, which means the order of events has Tracy caving before Brooklyn finds out, and Brooklyn arriving at her position before she has been told it is already decided. That is a conversation that is going to produce sparks. And Willow telling a wet and shirtless Chase that this move has a silver lining is the kind of detail that tells you Willow is already thinking about how the proximity can serve her purposes in ways that have nothing to do with the children. Michael made the right call for his kids. Whether it costs him in other ways is the question the fall is going to answer. Jason quits Sunny, considers Yelku, and tells Carly the truth. Now let us talk about Jason in Carly's kitchen, because this is a conversation that quietly sets the direction for Jason's next chapter in ways that are going to matter for the rest of the year. Jason came to do chores. He did basic things around the house in the way that people who care about each other sometimes show that care through action rather than declaration. He fixed things. He was present. And then he sat down with Carly and told her the things that needed to be said. He no longer works for Sunny. Jakarta changed him. He came back knowing that Danny had to come first, not as one priority among many, not as the most important thing in a list of things, but as the thing that defines every other choice. He told Carly what he told Sunny, which is that Sunny understood. Two men who have shared a world for decades, separating those two parts of their lives from each other, trying to hold onto the personal bond while ending the professional one. Sunny did not take it badly. That is significant. It says something about where Sunny is right now, trying to be something different, trying to find his own version of what Jason is finding. Carly told Jason he made the right decision. And then she said the thing she prefaced with, "Can't believe I'm going to say this. The Quartermaines could use his help. Yelq, the family company. Ned and Michael would appreciate his specific way of looking at how things are working or not working. And Tracy, Carly said it plainly, would be over the moon." This is not a natural fit for Jason in the conventional sense. His world has not been boardrooms and corporate strategies. His world has been the one he is walking away from. But the specific skill he is being described as bringing, the ability to look at a situation and assess clearly what is and is not working, is a skill that transfers. And Yelq right now, with the complicated cast of characters involved in its ownership and management and the specific tensions that Drew's recovery has reintroduced, genuinely needs someone who can assess clearly what is and is not working. Jason's condition is what it always is when it comes to anything he is considering. Danny has to understand that he will always come first. Not as a platitude, not as something Jason says and then departs from when circumstances seem to require it. As the actual operating principle, the thing that will not be negotiated away regardless of what the company needs or what any particular crisis demands. If Danny understands that, Jason says, it could work. The moment when Carly asked about Britt was revealing in a small but important way. Jason said he has not told Britt yet. And when Carly proceeded with what she clearly intended to be further discussion of that relationship, Jason drew the line. He does not talk about Valentine with her. The same applies in reverse. She does not talk about Britt with him. Their relationship exists independently of their respective romantic situations. Whatever is or is not happening with Jason and Britt, and whatever is happening with Carly and Valentine, those are not things that get processed through each other. And then they hugged, which is the truest statement of what Jason and Carly are, two people who have been through everything imaginable together, who have hurt each other and forgiven each other, and held each other through the worst things, who exist in each other's lives as something that does not require a category, because it simply is. The preview shows Michael offering to help Jocelyn with her company problem and needing something from her in return. That exchange positions Michael as someone who now sees the corporate world around him as a set of interconnected opportunities. Jocelyn's inheritance of her father's company, combined with Michael's position at Deception and Yelq and whatever leverage he holds over Willow, creates a landscape where Michael is operating with more power than he has had at any point this summer. And Jason potentially joining that world adds another dimension that Drew specifically is not going to appreciate. Hudson meeting with Carly and calling the situation a dead end before Carly tells him wrong answer is a preview detail that deserves its own close reading. Hudson has an agenda in Port Charles. Carly has been touched by that agenda through her connection to Valentine and the whole Phoebe situation. The two of them in a room together, with Carly refusing to accept a dead end as the conclusion, suggests Carly knows or suspects something that is relevant to what Hudson is looking for. And Carly saying wrong answer to a man who has demonstrated he is willing to use physical force to get what he wants is very much Carly being Carly, completely unintimidated, completely certain of her ground. Sonny and Justine, and the secret that defines everything. And finally, let's talk about the apartment over Charlie's and the conversation between Sonny and Justine that determines the shape of whatever they are to each other going forward. Justine came to tell Sonny that Sidwell is being transferred to Pentonville. He already knew. She came to say something else, a warning that is both professional and personal simultaneously in the specific way that Justine navigates everything with Sonny. If something happens to Sidwell in prison, Sonny is the first person people look at. The history is there. The motive is there. The capacity is there, or at least the reputation for that capacity. And if Sidwell dies behind bars and suspicion falls on Sonny, it does not just damage Sonny. It damages everything they have been quietly building. It brings scrutiny to her. It threatens the career she has constructed with the specific dedication of someone who has worked too hard for too long to let anything compromise it. Sonny gave her his word. If something happens to Sidwell, he had nothing to do with it. And then he went further. He laid out the future he is building toward. Coffee importer. The peers. Sidwell's legitimate businesses when they come up for auction. Everything's above board. A version of himself that is genuinely on the other side of the world he has lived in. Justine's response was honest in the specific way that she is always honest with Sonny, which is without the softening that people usually apply when they're saying things the other person does not want to hear. She said it is a nice idea. She also said you cannot outrun your past, that there are no statutes of limitations on certain things Sunny has done, and that some people will always see him as who he has been rather than who he is trying to be. And then she named the thing that puts both of them at the most risk. Her office could go after him. She has worked too hard to throw her career away because she is compromised when it comes to him. The only way this works, the only way they work, is if they keep it secret. Sunny asked the question that put the whole thing on the table. If he says no to the secret, is that it?